published in Forbes and Ebony magazine, amongst many others. She has been seen on the Oprah Winfrey Network, Channel 8 News, Channel 2, Fox 23, and News on 6. I'm not at all biased, just look. Empowering women of all sizes, shapes, shades, and ages through representation in gorgeous images has been her mission for over a decade. Remember, at the top of this summit, we talked about being seen. She sees you. It is the bond she builds with women that she meets that drives her passion, as well as watching them transform through the experience of seeing themselves in a new way. Nicole Barton.
Thank you so much for that introduction. That was wonderful. Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? I am really excited to be here. I'm going to try not to talk too much and go over time because I really want you guys to have a lot of time for questions if you want to ask me anything. But the topic for me today is something that I am really passionate about, and I could talk about it all day. So, the things that I'm going to be talking about today are the ways that you can use creativity, the power of creativity, to further your business, to expand your business, maybe to start a new one. I know sometimes we may think that we're not creative people and we're not creative thinkers because our mind might go to art. We don't paint, we don't make pictures, we don't draw. But I'm really talking about creative thinking in the sense of problem solving, pivoting, groundbreaking, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So, as was mentioned, I've been a photographer for 15 years, and I founded She Is Tulsa magazine here in Tulsa. What I want you to know about me is that I do not come from a business background. I'm a high school dropout. I grew up in a dope house, and I don't have any business education. I don't have any formal education. And I believe that the equalizer for people that maybe don't come from a place of resources or maybe marginalized is creative thinking. My belief is that people who come from scarcity or who may be marginalized or may have particular obstacles to overcome is that we are actually intuitively more creative than the average person. I don't think there's anything more creative than having to make something out of nothing, 100%. I think if you have been in the circumstance where you have had to dig things out of the cupboard and the back of the fridge and look at what you had and make a meal out of it because that's what you had, I believe things like, something breaks and you don't have the money to replace it, so maybe you Frankenstein a few things together and it works and you keep on rolling. This to me is how you exercise that muscle. And that's what it really is. It's just practicing overcoming problems, in ways that might be unexpected or unique, and that's really the heart of creativity. So I'm going to talk about kind of the three things that for me have helped me to be really creative in my business. I'm going to talk in real terms about some things that I have done in my business that were unexpected, that maybe other photographers haven't done, and small changes that you can implement in your life to become more creative, to kind of shift that mindset to benefit your business. So the first thing, which I kind of touched on a little bit here, is scarcity. And I like to talk about controlled scarcity. Do I want everybody to be on the struggle bus forever? No, I don't. However, I think it's really important not to rely on purchasing the next big equipment, waiting for a funder to come in. Some of these things that you might think are roadblocks to success. I don't have an office space. I don't, before you spend the money on a thing that you think you need, I would challenge you to figure out if you can do it with what you have first. Because too often I see people who think, even like for example, photographers. I know a lot of photographers who went right on out and they maxed out their credit, they bought a bunch of equipment, and they really thought like, this is what I need to be set up for success, and they still can't shoot with it. And now their money's spent, and it's actually harder to be creative because you're overwhelmed by all these things now that you put in front of yourself, because innovation is fueled when you have to make do with less. So for years, I shot on a camera that was like 4 pixels, it was like a little crappy flip phone, and I used to tack sheets to the wall in my apartment, and I would photograph people in front of that. And I did that until I could not possibly create any more within those means, and then I got a better camera. And then I rode that thing until the wheels fell off, and then I got a better camera. But if you can excel with a little bit, if you can work what you have to the absolute bottom of the bucket, then when you upgrade to whatever that next thing is, you are going to run circles around other people that have it, because you already did so much. So I don't ever want you to feel discouraged because maybe somebody has the bigger salon than you. Maybe their website is fancier than yours, because at the end of the day, that's going to push you to figure out how to maximize that little bit of website you have, how to make it look as good as it is with that one single page. And you're going to be so impressive with that by the time you expand, it's just going to be a whole nother level than if you had just jumped right in to the big thing first. So anytime something comes across your radar where you're feeling inadequate because maybe there's something that you wish you had that you think would make things easier or is a necessity to your success, I would just ask you to take a pause and give it a little time and really try to come up with as many ways as you can to do the thing that you want to do without spending more money or feeling like you have to maybe bring another person in, or even that you have to just like tax your time so much. Really be creative about your time and the resources that you have, because there is no shame in having a smaller budget, a smaller space, no space, a car without vinyl wrapping all over it, maybe you don't have a big old billboard. There is no shame in that, because you are going to be the same person as a millionaire that you were when you were sitting in that garage and you were doing on a laptop and nobody knew that. It doesn't change that entrepreneurial spirit. So just know, if you're in that scarcity part of building your business, it's a really good part, because you're going to come out of that being able to pivot. You know, you're going to really be a champion. The second thing I want to talk about is curating the media and the content that you consume. And this might be something you've heard before, so I'm not going to harp on it too much, but the things that come across your eyes in your feeds, on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your TikTok, so heavily influence your mindset about life, about possibility, about what's weird or acceptable or normal. And I cannot understate how much over time that really will change how creative you are or aren't. So when we're going home and we're watching our shows on TV, you know, and we're scrolling through TikTok and we're spending, many of us, hours and hours and hours on these programs at the end of a week. Just imagine what the difference would be if you shifted some of that content intentionally around the kind of accounts and the kind of people that feed your creative thinking. So I have been very intentional about this. When I open up my Facebook, when I open up my TikTok, I'm overwhelmingly following artists, people who have triumphed over extremely hard circumstances, people who are in hard circumstances, and they still manage to find the joy in life. They figure out how to do it. I opened up my TikTok last night, and there was a man that had been living in an iron lung with nothing but his head out for 70 years, and he had gotten a law degree, and he had written a book, and he had done all of that with a pencil in his mouth. And these are the kinds of things that come across my feed because I've been so careful about who I follow. So all of these social media platforms, they show me more of that. And how can you not open up a social media and see a story like that and go, if he figured out how to write a book with nothing below his neck, I'm gonna revisit this problem I had yesterday. And I'm gonna have a little humility about it, and I'm gonna figure it out, you know? And so I just cannot understate that. If you can shift even half, you know, unfollow half of the mindless but maybe entertaining things that are on your feed, unfollow all of the things that are negative or discouraging or critical or judgmental, and just incorporate some of those influences into your subconscious every day, whether it be an audio book instead of maybe a regular Spotify playlist. You know, just switch it up a little bit, because the thing about creativity is it really will die if you're not pushing yourself into weirdness on a regular basis. So if you're just very comfortable and you're not seeing anything that seems a little unusual to you, if you're not seeing anything that seems like, oh wow, I don't know if I could do that, things that challenge the way you think, you'll become a little stagnant in your creative thinking. And so that's one that's been really big for me, is like being really careful about the content that I take in. And then the third thing is, which probably a lot of you are doing this, that you've come here and you're meeting women you haven't met before, is curating the circle of women that you have certain conversations with. And I'm not one of those people that's gonna get up, I hear people say this all the time, when you reach another level, you're gonna have to let a bunch of people go, and I'm not gonna be that dramatic. But what I am going to say is that there are certain conversations and certain meetings and certain discussions that you really should protect. And you should curate a circle of women that incubate those kinds of discussions. So what I mean by that is, there are certain women in my life who, for example, when I launched She Is Tulsa magazine, I know there are women that if I bring that conversation up and I say, I'm going to start a magazine and I have no sponsors and I have no funding and I'm going to do it myself and there isn't a women's magazine in Tulsa and I'm going to graphic design it myself and I'm going to do the whole thing, I have friends that would be like, ooh, how are you going to pay for that? You have a baby, you have 3 kids, they're homeschooled. What about the other things you should? It's immediately going to be questions, doubts, worries. And that's fine, they probably mean well. But then I have another circle of women where when that same sentence comes in my mouth, they go, oh my God, that's amazing. So like, how are we doing that? What are we doing? Do you have sponsors? Do you want to find a sponsor? How are you funding it? What can I do to help you? I know somebody you can call. Those are the women that you save those conversations for. And it's no shade to these people that you love and that you care about, but those conversations are other conversations. You're talking about all kinds of things with them because there is nothing like having a big, scary idea, already having that level of self-doubt, and coming to a person whose opinion means the world to you, and then having your idea just cracked down. And that will shut down creativity faster than anything. I would encourage you to befriend women that maybe you thought were just not your type of gal, and I don't mean that in a moral way. I mean, when I look around now, some of the women that I'm at tables with and that I'm having those big building, dream, conversations with, and they're helping to facilitate all the things that I've done. If you would have told me 10 years ago, your best friend is going to be 20 years older than you, and she's going to have never listened to a rap song in her life, and you say that's fresh to death, she's going to say, what? I would have unequivocally not believed that. I may have, as a younger woman, said, I'm not going to really hang out with her because I would have felt uncomfortable or like I didn't have a place at a table where the women there were maybe very different from me, but what they all had in common is that they're not afraid to dream big. They don't care how crazy the idea is. All they care about is figuring it out. So I would definitely recommend somebody that they may be outside of your culture. There may be a big age difference. They may be very quirky, but if their attitude is conducive to creativity, I would say go for it and don't be afraid to sit down with those women and build those relationships. And so kind of to wrap all of that up and bring that full circle is to say, building creativity into your life starts with believing that you are creative. And if you are a business owner, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a nonprofit owner, if you are creative, you are already doing that. You've literally created a thing where it was not before. You have made something, you are creative. So you can know that, be confident in that, you don't have to wonder about it, it's there. Now all you have to do is exercise the muscle. You're gonna have to do some weird stuff, you're gonna have to do some wild stuff, you might have to do some stuff that you would have judged someone else for before, like that's weird, or I wouldn't do it that way, and that's okay. You gotta get comfortable with being outside your comfort zone. Take as much content in as you can from people who may be very different than you, but they seem to get it. They are not discouraged by a problem, and they do not care what people think, because let me tell you, even to this day, when people talk about the way that I've structured my magazine or how I've managed to do it, I get people being negative to me about it all the time. I should have done it this way, I should have done it that way. Why don't I do this? Why don't I do that? I would never do that. You wouldn't. Do not let that bother you. Every new idea seemed really ridiculous and stupid. I remember, 30 years ago, somebody would have told me I'm going to get on my phone and order a ride from some random person in their private vehicle from place to place. No, I'm not. You know what I mean? And this is Uber, and somebody's rich off of that idea, and a billion people probably told him he was an idiot. You know what I mean? So go ahead and get uncomfortable, exercise those muscles, curate the content that you take in, and meet some new people. And I think that's about, I think I've kept it under my count. I think I did pretty good. So at this point, I would like to open it up to any questions, and it could be around creativity, it could be specific to your business, it could be a business question in general, questions about what I do. I'm pretty comfortable with any questions you have.
Questions for Nicole? I have a question. You talked about getting out of your comfort zone, getting comfortable in your discomfort. You also said pushing into weirdness, which I love. What do you do to push into weirdness and to stimulate creativity?
Yeah. So I follow a lot of weird people on social media. I follow a lot of people that are not necessarily aligned with me culturally or politically. They're still good. Their values align with me. I won't say don't ever do that. Don't go outside your values because you think somebody's doing something that's interesting. But it's also, like I said, first of all, I moved here from Los Angeles, so that's like a big one, you know what I mean? That took a little bit of pulling on the part of my partner. Same conversation, take a risk. I was like, these people are gonna be nothing like me. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I don't know what's out there. I don't wanna go, I'm not going. And he was like, you're always telling people right outside your comfort zone and you don't know who's there, you don't know who's women, and you're telling yourself a bad narrative, so I did. And so I moved to a new place. But I think too, it just goes, I like to think about the people who are weird, who have done incredible things. These people who have created things like Google and Facebook and Uber and all these other things that are so innovative, they seem like weird ideas. And so sometimes when I feel really self-conscious, I dress really funky, I'm not from here, I just think about, somebody else probably got, was just as uncomfortable and they're achieving amazing things, so.
Well, I love your style. Can we give a hand for that outfit? Nicole, you echoed a lot of themes that we heard from Robin. Remember, Robin talked about social media. She talked about shutting it down. You talked about curating it and making sure that what you're consuming is actually feeding you. You both also talked about kind of need versus want. What do you need? And operating from scarcity, because you say innovation happens when you do with less.
Yes.
What do you think has been kind of your biggest lesson learned in your journey launching your magazine? What's your biggest lesson learned?
I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that, and this is kind of like, I'm going to misquote Brene Brown. If you've never read any of her stuff, read it, look it up. But she talks about people having a lot to say from the cheap seats. Okay, so these are people who are just kind of there, they're in the back, they got a whole lot to say, there's no skin in the game, they're not risking anything. And that those are the people you absolutely unequivocally cannot be worried about what they say. There are other women who are doers, even if it doesn't succeed the first time, right? Even if but they're doers. You see, they keep getting up, they're still doing things, they're hosting things, they're pitching things, they're launching things, they're showing up to a bunch of stuff. Those are the type of women who are putting their own ass on the line, who are risking something, who are putting themselves out there. I care about their opinion a little bit more. Everybody else, I am not interested.
I love that. I love that. You are a photographer. You have a sense of style. You produce a magazine. These days, you are your brand, and your brand is you. For the business owners in the room that are trying to develop their brands or promote their businesses, can you say a little bit about that? What can you do to stay true to your values, but also present yourself in a way that can help fuel your business?
Yeah. So I think, depending on the industry you're in, a good sort of blueprint for creating a brand that still stays, professional, for whatever that is for what you do. So like, let's say, example, help me think of a career. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, okay, let's say you own a salon, right? I think there's a certain attire you might be required to wear when you're doing hair, just for things like cleanliness and things like that. I think for me, what I always say to other women who are like, I really want to stand out, but obviously I have certain parameters I have to fit into, is to look at the brands and the attire and the whole brand vibe of the leaders in your industry. So you go online and you look at what is the top absolute best salon in New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, all of these major cities. Look at their website, look at their headshots, look at how these women are dressing. You'll start to see a common theme. You'll find one that resonates with you. Obviously, it's working with them, so you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? If they're killing it, obviously this brand is resonating with people. And then you take it and you add 1, 2, 3 things that are true to you. So if you're seeing that these are the brand colors and the women are dressing really sleek and it's black head to toe, but then you're like, but also maybe I love to wear heels every single day and pink is my thing. So now it's kind of the same brand, but you've thrown that little bit of something. I wear Chuck Taylors with everything, I don't care what it is. I'm from California, it's kind of like an LA thing, and so that's what I do. And so imitating, not copying, the leaders in your industry who have been afforded expensive brand consultations, expensive graphic designers, they've done all the work for you, it's there, and then you remix it in a way that feels really true to you, the way people know you kind of show up.
I love that, I love that. Tell us where we can find She Is Tulsa magazine.
Oh yeah, so sheistulsa.com. The magazine is hosted there for free. You can read all of the past issues. You can apply to be a future issue. We do public events. We do red carpets 4 times a year. And when you're on that website, in the top left-hand corner is my logo, and you can click there, and that's how you'll find like me and my portfolio.
Now, Nicole is sharing a very special day with us today. Not only is she in an Innovate Her, but it's her birthday. So can you guys join me in singing her happy birthday to her? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nicole. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. I am 40 today, by the way. I'm 40. Oh, hey. Happy birthday. I was wondering if you guys were coming with that. And then I'm doing a giveaway. So I have donated a photography package worth $1,795. So that includes an in-depth consultation with me about your images, about your styling, branding, what you need. It is a 1-hour shoot that includes professional hair and makeup, and it is 5 or 10. If it isn't 5, I'll say 10, I don't care. Digital images, full res, and a downloading gallery with a use permission to use them for business as well as personal, and a 16 by 20 print of your choice. So somebody today is mine now. Thank you so much. How do they win that again? How do they enter and win the? Okay.
So everyone, earlier we had some technical difficulties with one of our videos, and we want to show that video now. So it is from the Association of Women Business Centers. So we'll go ahead and get that played. Thank you.
Association of Women's Business Centers based in Washington, D.C. We represent 145 amazing women's business centers like you, Greenwood Women's Business Centers. Congratulations to you. Congratulations on having this conference. Welcome. And have an amazing time together. Have an amazing time together learning and leading. We need to learn how to better take advantage of every opportunity to empower ourselves to have a real economic impact via entrepreneurship. You're going to be learning together. You have no idea the opportunities that will come from just being together for today and for the lifetime to come. And also congratulations on the opportunity to lead together, because together we are leading the change, we're leading economic empowerment together, and we're forming this community by way of this conference. Congratulations again, and have a great conference.
All right, we have birthdays, we have fellowship. I mean, this is what I call a good summit. Are you guys having a good time? Are we learning a lot? All right. I want want to remind you that there is a gift card giveaway that's happening. You need to follow Greenwood Women's Business Center on Instagram, and it's Greenwood_Women's Biz Center, I believe. Yes, Greenwood_Women's Biz Center. If you need to follow them on Instagram and Facebook, and then like their last 3 posts, and you get entered to win that drawing for the gift card. You must be present to win. Now we're going to continue on with the show. Our next workshop is going to be about lending. Who needs capital? Raise your hand if you need capital. Raise your hand if you thought about a loan. Okay, this next session is for you. We're going to welcome Dustin Allen. He's going to give us a lending overview. He's from the SBA.
Good afternoon, almost afternoon, everybody. As you know, my name is Dustin Allen with the Small Business Administration. I'm a lender relations specialist. Been there a little over 10 years. And today we're going to talk about SBA's various lending programs and some of the common questions that come up whenever people are applying for those. So before I get started, I do want to say that the common themes of the other presenters have talked about is bootstrapping or spending within your means. One thing to keep in mind whenever you're looking to fund a small business is that you're not going to use one source. You're going to use some variety of cash, bootstrapping, credit cards, SBA loan, whatever works best for you guys. So don't think just because you can't get everything funded from one source and you're funding it 100% of where you want to be on day one, that you can't build towards that. A lot of SBA's loan programs are actually designed to help get you over those humps and to get you to where you want to be sort of down the road. One of the very most common misconceptions about SBA loans is that we do direct funding. So, sorry guys, kind of fighting allergies. So a lot of folks think that, hey, I need my SBA loan, I'm going to call the SBA, apply directly through them, and the SBA is going to cut me a check, I'm going to pay them back. And that's just not how most of our programs actually work. We do have some disaster loan programs that work that way, but those are only usable in certain situations. So almost all of our programs are going to work through various intermediaries. The Bank of Oklahoma is here, they're one of our lenders. We have various nonprofits to work through called Certified Development Corporations. Here in Tulsa, you guys have got Tulsa Economic Development Center or Economic Development Corporation, and then also Small Business Capital. So we will go ahead and jump into some of this information, but again, up front, just so we clear that we don't do a lot of the direct loans. We sort of support the small business and we support the lender to get those loans made that would normally have to be declined. Okay, so before we get into the actual programs themselves, one thing that's common amongst all of our programs is something we call the credit elsewhere test. A lot of folks think of the SBA and they think that, I'm going to go apply with them because they're going to have the best X, Y, or Z, whether it's maturity you're looking for, rate, whatever the issue may be. The banks actually have to meet something called a credit elsewhere test. So if you go talk to the bank, it's possible they may not want to use an SBA guarantee. They may write it sort of on their own. So this is sort of in here as a disclaimer that before you start, spending hours and hours researching online what the best SBA program is, it's really best either to call our office, call a lender, talk to them about what their options are, talk through your situation. They will know sort of what programs are probably going to be the best fit for you. When we talk about credit elsewhere, what we're talking about is loans that the bank would normally have to decline, but they're using an SBA program to get around. So that's going to be things like not having enough collateral, being a startup, being an industry they're not familiar with. And the startup and collateral are probably the most common, and it's very common to find both of those in the same one. I don't think in the history of my time with the SBA I've seen a startup that had enough collateral to support the loan they actually wanted. So that's why our programs are in there to kind of bridge that gap. So sort of our flagship program, the one folks are most familiar with and honestly the easiest to understand, is going to be the 7A loan program. 7A loans are a loan guarantee program. These work through traditional lenders. The way the program works is SBA provides a guarantee. That guarantee, depending on the program under 7A, provides a guarantee anywhere from 50 to 90% of whatever the bank is lending you. So When the bank's looking at this deal, they're coming at the evaluation, they're looking at let's use $1 million deal. They're looking at $1 million, you guys don't have enough collateral for that, or maybe there's another issue with that, but it's real close, the bank wants to do it, it's on the fence, they just can't make the numbers work. They can apply an SBA 7A guarantee to that, then re-review it with a 75% guarantee, which sort of functions like insurance for the bank. So the bank's looking at making that $1 million loan then, now they're looking at a $250,000 exposure, because the SBA is guaranteed that $750,000. So our loan is, our loan guarantee is there to help get that loan made. The bank would traditionally have to decline. One of the other reasons, didn't jump too far ahead there. No. So that loan itself, I've seen S7A loans as low as $5,000, and they go all the way up to $5 million. It's very much, our flagship program is usable for pretty much any legitimate business purpose. You can use it for working capital, you can use it for real estate, you can use it for equipment, purchasing a business, buying out partners, really anything the business needs. Let's see. So how the maturity works on those, you're going to work with the bank just like you would on any regular loan to determine what the maturity date would actually wind up being for that. The SBA places caps on what the bank can sort of set for that maturity. One of the big reasons banks will use us is on the real estate side. Typically banks are capped at a 20-year amortization schedule. They can use SBA's loan guarantee to go out 25 to lower that payment for you, to get a loan sort of within your cash flow budgets that you would normally not have access to. We also place caps at 10 years for working capital, and then you guys can read the slide. It's 10 years for machinery, equipment, and furniture, fixtures, everything else. You can go out 15 in some cases. The way the interest rates work on the 7A loan program, everyone thinks of a government loan, and they typically think of some sort of subsidized interest rate program. Ours does not do that on 7A. Where ours is benefiting you is helping get that loan approved that would normally have to be declined. The way our interest rates work is we place a cap on what the lender can charge. That cap's anywhere from, it's up to 6.5% at some points. But it's based on the size of your loan. So you will negotiate with the bank. You want to do prime plus 1, prime plus 2, prime plus 3, whatever rate you wind up having, that is between you and the bank as long as it is between what SBA does allow. So, and I already said business purposes, you can use it for refinancing, change of ownerships, or any other legitimate business purpose. Now these are going to come to some of the common questions we get on 7A and really all SBA lending. And the first one we get is, what kind of business qualifies, does my business qualify, things like that. So easier than listing every business that does qualify, we're just going to list out the ones that are ineligible. First off, we have nonprofits. The business does have to be organized for profit for us to be able to make a loan to you. Businesses engaged in lending, it's very self-explanatory, that'd be banks, things like that. Passive holders of real estate. This is going to be your apartment complexes, your rental houses, any sort of long-term lease situation you have. Now let's say you have an RV, hotel, motel, some sort of resort, short-term lease. That's fine. The test on that is 30 days. So if it's reasonable that they'll be in and out within 30 days, then that will pass under our rules. But if it's a longer lease, we can't do it. Life insurance companies. This is the company itself, not the individual agent. So if you do have life insurance or some sort of health insurance, you're selling that, you may actually qualify. Businesses in foreign countries, we can't lend to those. However, if you're exporting, we do have sort of beneficial programs for exporters. Next are pyramid sales businesses like your Mary Kay, Arbonne, those sort of things. Then businesses engaged in gambling. If you have like scratching tickets or something like that, that's fine. It has to be a significant portion of your business plan, your business model. Businesses engaged in illegal activity. This one's been really prominent for us lately with legalization of medical marijuana. It's not federally legal, so we can't do it, even though state-wise it is fine. And then businesses restricting patronage. Has to be open to the public. It can't be restricted by sex, religion, anything like that. Dovetailing into that is also promoting religion. So you can do a theology store, like selling just theology book texts, but we can't do one specific religion or another. business engaging loan packaging, not really relevant. Business with associates of poor character. There have actually been quite a few changes in this lately. Associates of poor character, what they're usually talking about is criminal background. We've always been able to do that, but usually if there was a felony involved that took some additional research, they're in the process of revamping a lot of that. There's some recent laws changed lately, so that is in the process of going away, but not quite there yet. Businesses for the lender's and owner, businesses providing prurient sexual material, like never mind. Prior loss to government or delinquent federal debt. So this goes back to the beginning of time. So if you do have like an old student loan or an FHA loan, an FSA loan, something like that that charged off at some point, that may inhibit you from being able to get an SBA loan. So make sure you might want to, when you're looking at your business plan, looking at the business, trying to figure out what to take care of before you apply, definitely take care of that. Political or lobbying activities, it's the Hatch Act, and then speculative businesses. So that goes threefold for Oklahoma. We can't do wildcatting. We can do oil as long as it's established wellheads, but no wildcatting. The other spec would be building spec homes. So if you're a builder, contractor, if you're doing a custom build, we can do that, but we can't do, I'm going to buy this chunk of land, plop down 20 houses, set this mark on them, and then sell them. And then research and development. So if you do have the best new widget and you're trying to sell it, we can definitely help you as long as you have a contract in place to get that sold. If you're still in the R&D aspect of it, probably going to look at some of the other options as far as financing goes. Oops, sorry about that. The next common question we get kind of goes back to the original thing I pointed out about the credit available elsewhere test. That is, how does collateral work? So SBA requires that you provide all the collateral available for the business, and if there's a collateral shortfall, they will ask for a second on your home or other personal real estate. The trick is SBA will not decline because you don't have enough collateral. So even if you only have 50% collateralization, SBA will not decline for that as long as you've given everything that you do have for collateral. Now the bank might have a different opinion on that, they want to get more out of that, but the SBA itself will not decline for a collateral shortfall. However, we will decline if you will not give us whatever we're asking for as far as collateral goes. And it lists the 20% owners, just on that one. So if you are part of the business, owner of a business, partnership, something along that line, if there is a 20% owner or greater, they're required to sign a full personal guarantee for that loan. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so that was sort of the 7A, and real brief, I can get this pretty quick, for the 7A loan itself. Now, under 7A, we have a variety of sub-programs. So as you talk to different lenders, you may hear them say things like Express, Preferred Lender Program, PLP, Capline, CLP, but 10 or 15 other things that you guys may know about. But those are all programs that are still 7A loans, they're still under that 7A umbrella, but there are special rules that go along with it. Probably the most common one, especially here in Oklahoma, you're going to see is the Express program. The 7A Express program essentially functions like 7A Light. So this is something the bank has to go through to get approved before they can make these loans, and it allows them to make the loans without SBA approving them. It's called a delegated authority. So if you're looking for something that falls within this program, definitely reach out to your district office. We can point you in the right direction of sort of what lenders in your area participate with Express. So where does 7A differ from Express? First off, the size. Express loans are capped at $500,000. And where 7A had a range of different guarantees, all Express loans will always have a 50% guarantee. So your max guarantee percentage there is $250,000. Maturity rules stay the same. 10 years for working capital, 10 years for about everything else, 25 years on real estate, nothing really changes there. The interest rate works the same way, but there are different rates based on the amount. So the lender is able to charge a little bit higher interest on Express. Again, that is not the rate they are required to charge, that is the rate they're required to stay under. And use of proceeds, just like 7A, it's usable for pretty much every business purpose. So where does it differ? So on the collateral rules, for loans under $50,000, lenders are not required to obtain collateral at all. If they don't want to, they can. They're not required to though. If it's over 50, they use their own collateral policy. So Under 7A, I mentioned it has to be collateralized to the fullest extent possible. You may place a lien on your home, those sort of things. This, the lender's going to follow their own rules and not SBA's rules. So they don't require it on a non-SBA loan, they don't require it with us either. Instant approval. So what instant approval means is on the SBA side. Lender's still going to hash the documents, lender's still going to do their own underwriting, but when a certain point, the lender would submit this normally to the SBA, and that would take about 2 weeks for us to turn around a 7A loan to get that approved. The lender can skip that part, they can enter the loan into a system called ETRAN, and it will automatically generate a loan guarantee. There have been a couple of changes to this, it's usually within a day or two now. In most cases, the lender's going to use all their own documents. They do have to fill out one form, so again, if you're going to go talk to an SBA lender, do not go down the rabbit hole of trying to find SBA forms, because there's stuff out there people bring in from the 90s that we haven't used since the 90s. So talk to your lender, find out what they have, what package they have. On Express, primarily the only form they're going to have you fill out is a 1919, which is a borrower information form. If you guys get really excited later, I'm going to Google SBA form 1919. It's a thrilling read. So. Then finally, the lender is essentially going to monitor the loan they normally would. Monitor the loan like they normally would. So on the 7A loans, we have some reporting requirements the lender has. On these, they would just treat it like they would their other loans. So the big benefit here is it's quicker for you guys, and there's less of the SBA rules that are applied because the lender can apply a lot of their own individual policies on that. So those are the two kind of under the 7A umbrella. Next we've got 504 loans, where 7A was really easy to understand because it's a loan guarantee and it's essentially insurance. 504 is a little bit different. 504 loans come from the three separate sources of funding. There we go. So first is a loan from a traditional bank. It is 50% of the total overall project, so if we're looking at $1 million. This would be the loan for $500,000. Then SBA is going to make a loan through a certified development corporation, and that's going to be 40% of the loan. The whole benefit for this program is that 40% of the loan has an SBA guaranteed debenture to it, which has a fixed interest rate for 10, 20, or 25 years. That rate is typically far below market average. So if you're looking at something that would qualify at 504, this is definitely something you should look at long and hard because it does give you sort of that one way the SBA provides that subsidized rate on traditional lending. The last source is going to be 10% of the business providing an equity injection. So for every 504, for 7A loans in certain cases, the business will be required to provide a 10% or greater equity injection. So just keep that in mind. It's essentially like a down payment. Usually it's cash. It can also be equipment you've already purchased for the building or other assets. There's some different ways of doing it, but 90% of the time it's cash. So again, this program goes up to $5 million, just like the 7A. Maturity, where 7A had all those different rules applied, and the lender decided what it was. These maturity is always going to be 10, 20, or 25 years. The reason is that rate determines that maturity determines the interest rate. I can't see the current rates right now because it's too high of an angle, but as you can see, I think they're all around 6 right now. But those rates are below the market average right now for commercial loans, and that is fixed for the life of the loan. So if interest continue to go up, it stays there. Where 504 loans really differ is going to be under what you can use it for. Where 7A Express, you can use these for working capital, inventory, anything like that. 504 loans are almost exclusively used for large fixed asset purchases. So real estate, construction, large pieces of equipment, things like that. So that's where this one's pretty limiting. That's where that fixed asset, where that fixed rate comes in. It's a large fixed asset. So if you are looking at purchasing real estate, definitely look at the 504 program. It's going to provide you some benefit there. So why the lender wants to use the program? It does give them that first position on that 50% of the loan. Doesn't really increase their exposure. There's no limit on their side. So if they did, so if you're actually looking to go above $5 million, this would be the only way to actually do it with an SBA loan, because a lender can make a loan greater than what the cap is, and we just provide less than our 40%. Interest rates on their side is negotiable. That is one thing you need to keep in mind when you're talking to the bank, where SBA has a fixed loan. The non-SBA portion of that will be negotiable. Notice that's not relevant for you guys. So for you, below market rates, fixed interest, long terms, and then that low equity injection, which is usually below whatever the area requirement is. So if you're looking at equipment, definitely look at the 504 program. I think I'm kind of getting close to going up, so I'm going to kind of speed this up a little bit. The next program is microloan. Microloan functions kind of similar to the 7A program, where it is still done through traditional lenders. The microloan program itself is handled by microloan intermediaries, which are nonprofits that provide these. Here in the state of Believe we have two. There's TEC here in Tulsa and REI out of Durant. They can provide those loans statewide. Microloans go up to $50,000. They're really for the small startups, getting the ball rolling. One thing that comes with microloans that does not come with regular 7A loans is something called technical assistance. What technical assistance is it's training that's baked into that program. So the microloan intermediary is required to provide you with a certain number of hours of training both before and after the loan is funded. And that comes free of charge. It's definitely something you should take advantage of. These loans can go up to 6 years. Interest rate is determined by what the intermediary is borrowing their money at to lend to you from the SBA. We don't actually make the eligibility decision on these, the intermediary does. And the use of proceeds. This is usable for everything except for refinancing and except for purchasing real estate. So you can use it for pretty much any legitimate business purpose as well. Last, we have our disaster loan program. As I mentioned at the start, disaster loan programs are the only ones that we actually do directly fund, instead of working with the intermediaries on those. There are two separate kinds of these. If you guys got loans during the pandemic, you're probably familiar with the economic injury disaster loan. The pandemic version of that was a highly modified version of a program that's been around since the 70s. So, how do disaster loans work? So first off, there has to be a declared disaster in your area. It's county and then contiguous counties. Once that's done, the SBA will add to our website certain disaster declarations, and you can go out and apply either for a physical disaster loan or an economic injury disaster loan. Both those loans go up to $2 million, and that's an aggregate cap. The maturity date on those is usually 30 years on the physical disaster loans. Interest rates, I can't see the actual number there, but the way those are determined is there are two rates. One is for borrowers who cannot obtain the credit elsewhere. It is typically way below market average. And then another one for lenders who borrowers can obtain funding elsewhere. That is still usually right at market average. So where these funds on the physical disaster loan comes in, let's say tornado hits my house, I had insured for $100,000, it's taking $200,000 to replace it. SBA will make this loan to cover that difference, whatever your shortfall was for insurance or whatever. This is also eligible to just homeowners as well, not just small businesses, but it is eligible for small businesses. Last is the economic injury disaster loan. This, similar to the physical disaster loan, $2 million cap, maturity is 30 years. Interest rate, there's usually only one interest rate because we don't lend if it's not, if you can obtain the credit elsewhere, we can't make loans for this one. If you can't, we can. This is exclusive to small businesses or farm co-ops and a few other things. And the way this program works is if there was a drought, a fire, something impeded your ability to do business and caused you economic injury. Let's say you're a grocery store or something, and wherever you get your produce from, they suffer from a drought, so your costs went up because you had to go out of state to get your fruit. You can then qualify possibly for an economic injury, which provides working capital to sort of offset your loss and get over that hump. So that was kind of the SBA loan program as quick as I can get through them. So if you have any questions or just, again, whenever you're looking at these things, call our office. We're happy to sit down with you, sort of talk through what you're looking to do, look at your project, point you in the right direction. We keep a list of lenders by county each year, so if you're in XYZ County, give us a call, ask you to lend, we can give you a name, 4 or 5 lenders in that area. Whatever we can do to help get you guys in touch with the lenders, we'll do.
back of the room, so if you have questions, please feel free to see them back there. So there are a few contests that we've talked about. Nicole Barton's wonderful contribution. The way that you enter that contest is, who has a business card? Who has a business card on them? Good. First lessons of conferencing, bring your business card with you. Please put your business card on the table. Our volunteers will be coming around and collecting business cards. That's how you could be entered to win. You could also use it, put your information on the pads. If you don't happen to have a business card, I'm going to go back to my lesson, bring business cards next time. But if you don't happen to have a business card, or if you're tech savvy and you just have a QR code instead of a business card, go ahead and write your information on the pads that are available on the table, put it in the center of our table. The Greenwood Business Center volunteers will be going around to collect those, and that's how you'll be entered into our contest today. Don't forget about the Quick Trip gift cards over on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure that you are following Greenwood_Women's Biz Center, and it's Biz, B-I-Z, Center. Again, follow them both on Instagram and Facebook. Like the last 3 posts on Facebook and Instagram, and you can be entered to win that Quick Trip gift card. All right, friends, it's time for more networking, and it is time for lunch. So we want you to enjoy your lunch, take some time, visit with your fellow attendees, make sure you see the booths around the table. Don't forget about Sooner Marketing Solutions and their headshots in the hallway. Grab your lunch, come have a seat, and we will be starting the awards luncheon in about 20 minutes.
All right, guys. So what we're gonna do is it's lunchtime, so guys, look at the lunch. And this is our lunch today. Okay. How you doing? Oh, I won't complain. Oh, here, let me. And I'm also streaming on YouTube right now. doing? I'm well. Yes, we got us a lunch today. I think I'm gonna join this line over here though. Y'all got your silverware?
Total. I got to go back. like.
All right, guys, we'll be back here a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and exit on out, and we'll come back a little bit later, okay? Time to have some lunch, but they have music going on in there. Okay? Hey, how you doing? As you should.
Come on now. You know how we doing it. It's Women's Month. Y'all
Period. Yes. I love the energy. Listen, we're about to have some fun, y'all. Okay.